Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the work you do, what you offer to companies who are in this conundrum or are facing these challenges?
Okay, happy to do that. So I do consult in culture and employee experience, and I consult, at group-wide level or at team level, really focusing on how do you align culture to strategy, and not just from a perspective of engagement, but from a perspective of leaders. What is it that the organization needs? What type of leader are they looking for?
Yeah.
And not just for today, but for what's coming in the world and changes in the business. And I help organization formulate that. I help organization also really hone in on what is the employee proposition. How do you differentiate yourself from everybody and retain the skills that you need in the organization, attract and retain the skills in the organization. So that is what I do. And I also look at diversity, equity, and inclusion on how do we make that meaningful in the organization. So that's what I do. What I find is missing around leadership development. It's not only around the people management, but how do you invest in leadership development to truly support the strategy of the organization? Because it doesn't help the employees to have extremely ethical leaders, but are unable to meet the business targets of the organization. So I think that's another big gap that's missing in leadership development. How are leaders able to tell the story on the development is not only linking to be able to lead the people, but is also linking to be able to translate the strategy to the people, do the strategy. And I think for me, that's also missing in the culture conversation and that development in leaders. If the organization comes and says in 2028, we want to have been able to enter a specific market that is a new market for the organization, or we want to be able to grow the business and kind of retain market share, or kind of turn around the business results. So if the business has been making a loss and they want to turn that around, it means what the business needs to do, it needs to think differently. Besides the list of the sort of tangibles that it needs to achieve, we need to acquire this market, we need to go into Ghana. It means the leaders need to think differently to how they were thinking a day before that strategy was announced. And in order for them to be able to do and meet that strategy requirement, so they need to have an innovative mind, they need to have a growth sake type of mind. But what we don't do is then to say, okay, for us to be able to achieve the strategy, what is the audit of the leaders? Are they able to have an innovative type of thinking? And truthfully tell ourselves that. And if that's a no, you won't meet that strategy. And then what ends up happening is that the rest of the team is saying to themselves, oh, okay, if we had to meet a target of 10,000 units last year, this year we need to meet 30,000, which means we need more resources, or we need to restructure what we are doing. They start making those suggestions to the leader. And if the leader has not been developed in mindset, then they shut down. They shut down people's ideas. There's no support. It's more, there's no clarity. There's no prioritization because the mindset has not been developed. They have not learned how to think differently in rapid changes. And then that kills the culture.